I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but I'd like to thank everybody for coming here today, and hopefully you enjoy the film. And if you don't enjoy the film, we're going to blame Peter over here. And enjoy it.
That's it, man. We'll do a Q&A afterwards, so stick around, and if you have whatever questions you have, please. Frank is here to stumble between the questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Happen, and to me, this documentary just shows me exactly how hard it is and how hard you have to work to do it. So a film like this is really important to a lot of people who aspire not only to be a WWE wrestler, but also to work in this industry. Because I know WWE, as a filmmaking perspective, is a difficult job as well. So hands down, this is an amazing experience, Frank. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I also want to talk about the 2-year journey and how you guys met and how this all happened. So Frank, please.
All right. First off, my brother, when he was working in Planet Hollywood, he used to work out on, what was it, 24-hour fitness or something?
Anytime Fitness and Celebration.
So he met him through there, and and then I forgot exactly how it happened after that. I told the show, I forgot.
Your brother contacted me, he said he wanted to go on Tough Enough, and you wanted to find out about wrestling, so you came to a show.
Yeah.
And you just happened to come to the one where I wrestled Luis, and we did every move under the sun, and I don't know, maybe you changed your mind?
No, well, initially I wanted to connect with him because that school has connections with NXT, obviously, for writers and whatnot, so I was like, maybe I can go there and do writing and whatnot, but then he told me I had to make another, couple-year commitment, and I can't do that because I just
graduated from full sail. You can't just use me to make a thing.
That's true, yeah. So then my friend Frank over there, who's a pivotal part behind the camera, that guy over there, he asked me if you want to make a documentary, and I said, about what? I really didn't have a story, so I just figured it would be another time waster. And then after that, I talked to QT. I reached out to him a week later, and he said that he had one last shot of going into WWE, and then we had a story. I would say that within about 2 weeks after that, we got a camera, got a couple of our friends together,
and a guy off Craigslist.
And a guy off.
I liked him. He was cool.
Yeah, he was free labor, right? But yeah, since May of 2015, we haven't stopped. Continue to put it out, yeah.
I will say this, first of all, thank you for showing up and watching and supporting. Getting that tryout taken away from me was the best thing that ever happened, because what we didn't show is, what I didn't know, I should say. About 6 months later, I found out that I needed major neck surgery. So it worked out because there was a reason. When I was doing those drills, like my push-up kind of looked like it was all left-handed. It's because I lost all the power down the right side of my body, and I thought it was only going to be temporary. And so, luckily, I didn't get to come down here and do a tryout, because I probably would have gotten through about 20 minutes of it, and they would have said, "Get this old chubby guy out of here." So it actually worked out a little better. I know it was a sad ending. I kind of like that.
Can you give me an update on what you're doing now?
Yeah, so, well, let's see if we have any questions first. If not, then okay, there we go, damn. Yeah, so I had 2 herniated discs that were pinching, it was my, 5, 6, 7, right, those 3. So I needed a 2-layer fusion done, so they took the discs out, put some cadaver bones, which I found out recently are dead people's bones, so that's cool. Hopefully they had good genes. But luckily, the nerve was so pinched that the doctor explained it was just like a hose that was being bent. As soon as he took the pressure off, I was fine. So I had the surgery on a Thursday morning. I was in the gym on Monday. So, yeah, I feel good. I'm, wrestling again, and I'm actually going to wrestle. I'll be sitting in this chair probably next week for NXT, so don't tell anybody because I don't want them to take it away. But So yeah, so any other questions or anything? Uh-oh. Oh, God.
Do you think you'll stick with the name QT that they mentioned in the movie that's cartoonish? I don't really understand.
Okay, so QT is because, you know, cutie. And I was cutie back in the day. I mean, when I was like 20, that was the only thing I had. I didn't have a good body, but I had a face. That's why the award-winning face, that whole little Gaga stuff. It's the only thing I had going at the time. So, unfortunately, when I went to Ring of Honor, they thought it was different. They were okay with it. February, I was here. I wrestled for NXT, actually at the UCF arena, and they asked me, and it was the same guy, Steve Carino. He now works for the WWE. And he said, the ring announcer said, QT Marshall, right? And I said, Steve, what do you think? And he said, he gave me that look. I said, all right, Mike Marshall. Because my real name's Kalari, but no one can understand it and they can't read it. It looks like Quayari, like I'm Spanish. I'm not. I'm just Jewish. And so we went with Mike Marshall. So we'll see what happens. You know, hopefully I get a chance to, you know, change my name because of legal reasons I have to, and I'm making enough money to change it. So. Good question. Go ahead.
I'm going to tag onto this question. Did they actually see something? Were they able to see something about your neck that they?
No. So no, that they have. To this day, they have no idea. No. No, I think it was, honestly, it was just a matter of, I used to live here for a very long time. I was in Orlando, and I was trying to get these tryouts, and I was like, I don't understand, man. I live 40 minutes away. You're flying guys in, put them in hotels, spending all this money. Like, you don't even have to pay me. You know, let me just get the opportunity. Like, you know, how do I earn that opportunity? And then when Gerald put my name in the hat as well, I think it was a combination of Gerald scouts amateur wrestlers, really. That's his job. Like collegiate wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers. So him sending 4 independent wrestlers, out of those 4 that he sent that day, it actually ended up only being 1. It was the guy that likes big women. So, and he's 6'4", 285 pounds, and he could shoulder press 405 pounds. So I understand why he got, you know, the opportunity. But and he's on the dean's list. Like, there's nothing, you know, whatever. He can't talk to people, but other than that, But yeah, so no, I think it was all like what when I was talking with Danny, what he said was just a lot of it was logistics, and you know, what they told me is just to go back out on the independent circuit and make a bigger name. So basically, you know, go make money for somebody else, so we will take you, then we'll take you, right? You're a threat to us. And I remember having that conversation about a couple months later. I was here working, and I told them, I said, listen, if, you know, realistically, if you're telling me I got to go broke and go back to the independent circuit just so I could get here, when you told me I'm good enough to be here, it's just for other reasons, I'm okay with that. I'll be okay with that. So that was my mindset back then, because I knew I was hurting, and you know, and then all of a sudden I had this surgery, and it was like, you know, like I'm a new person, you know.
Good luck.
But I still like cookies. Thank you.
Mike,
Yes.
Does it come down to kind of what's on the resume too? Because it seemed like there was the comments in the film that other people had things they could put on their resume, like the Olympic person and the guy who had been a great wrestler in college.
Right.
But maybe the former tool salesman or the restaurant guy.
Yeah, so here's the thing, is like, that is something that they always want to tout about, right? Because it makes the company look better, and it's not wrestling. That's the biggest thing, is the biggest misconception about the WWE is it's not wrestling, it's just entertainment. And wrestling is their business model, but it's pure entertainment. So when you're walking to the ring, like I said, they don't want to announce it, oh, here's QT, the kid from Jersey that had a dream. Like, you know, no crap, right? I mean, so it could be that, but then the other thing is, so when we were filming that, it's not like wrestling is now. Right now, pro wrestling is in like a hot, we call it like a hotbed right now. Like the whole entire independent wrestling is humongous. All that stuff I was talking about in the car, not making money. I mean, there's 2 guys up there that I wrestled with. We started, and they were in that picture when I first went to the school, and those guys are making a full-time living doing independent wrestling. So you can make money now, you just really have to get out there. And you know, so the past year I had to take away from wrestling and just hang out, and because I didn't want to hurt my neck again. I had to let it fuse up and stuff. So So I think the biggest thing is you kind of have to have like that little bit of a chip on your shoulder, almost like, okay, I'm gonna go make money for somebody else, and then you're gonna have to hire me, or else someone else is gonna succeed, you know? And they're big on that too, because it's like it shows hard work, dedication. The other thing is that they love hiring athletes because they don't have to teach them how to not eat cookies, you know? They've been working out their whole lives, and all they got to do is teach them how to wrestle, and hope that they have the heart to keep going when the times do get tough. So, and you know what? If they hire 5 guys, 10 guys, and one of them makes them a couple $1 million, it's worth it. So, stuff I didn't want to like look into or talk about because I never wanted to admit it, but you know, a lot of the stuff you just have to sit down and look on paper and say, okay, why hasn't this guy made it? It's not because of them, it's probably because of that guy, you know? So, yes, sir?
I have 2 questions for both of you guys.
Okay, you only get one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
So for you, QT, I see in the movie, like, I've been in a situation where my mom and my wife is like saying, do something else or kind of change. How have they treated you since then? Or
Right, so my mom I no longer talk to, and my wife I'm getting divorced. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, so since that time, you know, we've moved to Atlanta now. My wife and I, we did make the move to Georgia, and I was going to open a restaurant with my uncle, but then, like I said, my neck healed up real fast, and when I left the restaurant that we were talking about at the very end of the movie, like I had some money put away and stuff, so I didn't have to have a job. So at the beginning of 2017, I haven't worked yet. And I started doing a lot more wrestling. I started going back to Ring of Honor. I couldn't physically work in the ring, so what they did was they offered me a job doing commentary. Just something to get my face back on TV in case they do want to put me in there. So ever since then, like once they saw that I made that move, you know, my wife knows now we're settled, we have a house and this, that, and the other. My mom, you know, I quit working for my stepfather and stuff like that. They've been nothing but supportive, you know. They know that, like, at the end of the day, you know, my bank account's bigger than my mom, so what's she gonna, you know, that's, at the end of the day, that's what I say. Well, how much money do you have? Okay, so leave me alone. When I call you for money, then you can, you know, say something. And my wife, she's just, you know, I've known her since I'm 8 years old. So she's very supportive, and this is gonna sound really bad, but if she wasn't supportive, she just wouldn't be my wife. You know, it is what it is. You know, we're supportive of each other because of that kind of stuff. And if, you know, like you have a wife and a mother, and if they're not supportive, you know, hopefully they are now, and if they're not, then I'm not gonna tell you leave your wife, but, you know, leave your wife. That's my answer.
I'm also a film student here at Full Sail.
Okay.
Any tips or any things I can look out for, like when I try to do my first documentary thing? What are some things that you ran into that you like to share with us and you want to go through?
There really is no answer for it. You just have to do it, to be honest with you. Like, you know, you can wait and wait and wait and wait like I was doing, or finally do something, and I did, and the rest is history. Like, you're gonna think that there's a such thing as a perfect opportunity. A lot of people will tell you that, but there really isn't. You just have to do it and keep doing it and doing it. And it's been a 2+ year commitment. It's gonna continue to be a commitment after I leave here today, so.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to answer your question with his answer, but the movie's doing, you know, the documentary's doing really well, and it's not because of me or like QT Marshall, the wrestler. I know that. In fact, like when I tell people to come watch it, I'm like, yeah, for some reason it's doing really well, you know. And I think the reason it's doing really well is just because of the way it's produced, the way everything was done, you know. I didn't even realize there was like a story. Like he had this thing in his head, and I was just like living my normal life, you know, wrestling and eating cookies, and somehow that came out of it. And like I said, I mean, that's something that when we did a screening at the Monster Factory for the fans there, you know, and then later on that, you know, I had won the championship, right, just for whatever reason, because they needed me to have the belt. And like some guy came up to me and he was like, he had his kid, because if they buy a front row ticket, they had to come in backstage. And he came up to me, he's like, man, congrats, you're the champ. And I was like, yeah, well, they told me to win the belt, so I won the belt, you know? And he was like, yeah, but it's not about that. Like, and he was level-headed. I kind of looked at him at first as like, oh, here we go, wrestling fan, you know? And it wasn't. He was just like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like, because we told the story about my neck and all this other stuff as well. He said, like, look at my son, right? Now he knows that you don't have to give up. And I'm thinking like, oh, like, that was deep, you know? But realistically, and I think that's kind of, if people know what my story is now, right? Not just what they see here, it is a story about not giving up, and he was able to portray that because, you know, I gave up, you know? So the fact that he was able to do that is like...
It pertains to any career path. That's what the lesson of the movie is.
Speaking of Atlanta, are you hurting from the 85 incident?
So they already put it back up. So yeah, and I try to stay away from it. So because I don't work, the only time I've ever been to Atlanta is if I do any kind of like acting gigs or anything, because Atlanta's huge for acting. And which I will say, we didn't put this in the movie, but I lived my dream of being in one of The Rock's movies. So you might get to see my face as long as they don't cut me out of it. But so yeah, no, it hasn't affected me.
Pay for that?
Yeah, I made $100 for 14 hours. I don't care, it wasn't about the money. I could have made, you know...
That's more than we made on this movie.
That's more than I made on this movie, right. Go ahead in the back.
Yes, sir. There's something going on in Atlanta with the Monster Factory you got going on?
Right, so, okay, so...
Also,
Okay.
the chocolate dick cake.
That was the name of the cake. It was Dick's Chocolate Fantasy. We didn't get to zoom in on the product because we don't want to have to pay them royalties or anything. But that's where that actually came from. I wasn't being vulgar.
So we had to hurry up and get out because they kicked us out of the
Oh yeah, we did, and we did get in trouble for filming at ShopRite. I even threatened the guy, not in a bad way. I just told him that I'll just go return all the groceries then. I don't need these groceries. I'll go somewhere else. And he called me on my bluff. He was like, "Go ahead." I was like, "Frank, get out of here." I need those, you know. I'm not going to another supermarket. But so yeah, so recently, and actually he's right here. This is Ray, also known as Glacier from WCW. He can tell you what it's like to make it. And I met Ray in 2007, I believe, and he took a liking to me really fast. I guess because I'm a good person. I don't know, but I'm professional. I try to be a good person. And
I gotta add something about Glacier. When I was a kid, we used to play his character on a video game.
So
fun fact.
So yeah, so I talked to him a little bit because he lived in Atlanta for almost 20-something years, and he's a master's degree in teaching, right? And he's education, and he's been a mentor and a coach all around. So we had this idea that let's open up a Monster Factory of our own, and then we decided, as much as I love the Monster Factory and they were so helpful to me and all this other stuff, like, let's call it something else. Let's do something on our own and build our own brand and stuff like that. And so May 1st we opened up, and it's been going really well so far. And so now I'm coaching 4 nights a week, and then on the weekends I leave. So my wife is like super happy about that. And but I got her in on the gig too. She's the nutritionist for all the students because we focus on that, because I didn't have anybody that focused on that when I was first starting. If I did, I probably would have been working for them. But so she's in on the gig. She helps out as well. It brings her joy because she doesn't do that for her normal job. And so it's going really well. And yeah, so that I hope that answered your question.
And the cake?
The cake, yeah. We can go to Freehold and we'll go to ShopRite and get some. I'm sure it's delicious.
Any other questions?
I guess you had a 2-year experience, so this was happening 2 years ago?
Yeah. 2 years ago.
May of 2015.
And that was like no budget, nothing?
Probably just the camera that my friend
Craigslist
for, yeah. And then laptop, which was his as well, and then that was it. Glacier, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, so from here, the movie, I'm gonna let you answer that, because I hope it goes everywhere. I hope I never have to wrestle again and I just get rich. I don't know if that's how that
a tough
works.
question. You can't really, have an answer. Netflix or anything like that isn't going to give you a guarantee. So, But we do, however, I'm supposed to keep it secret, but
Wait, can we keep this kayfabe?
Yeah, before I give the...
You guys don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
in pro wrestling, kayfabe means it's a secret. It's our secret. We don't tell everybody. Like
Peter doesn't even know yet either, so...
yeah, so we just let you in on some kayfabe. But
So yeah, we have been getting a bunch of denial letters from film festivals, which we've been racking up credit. Well, I have been racking up credit cards put into festivals and we get denial after denial. But
we can get denied.
yeah, I told you that, didn't I?
I probably didn't read it. I don't look at negative stuff.